Welcome back, everyone. This is another breaking news update from the Canadian Immigration Institute. I am Mark Holthe, Canadian immigration lawyer, bringing you the latest news on Canadian immigration. Now, this is technically not super breaking, but what I'm going to show you today is, at least from my perspective, what I've got here that I'm going to show you in just a second is the actual passport request letters for Outlanders. Yes, Outlanders who have applied under the Federal Skilled Worker Program, and not just that, but their dependents as well. And in this case, they're in two different countries. Principal applicant is in the US, and the dependent is in no less than India. So let's take a look and let's see what we've got right here. Okay, flipping over. This is the passport request letter from IRCC. You can see the date just breaking 5 days ago, October the 13th. And I have highlighted some things here that I want you to see. So as we scroll down here, you can see that you've got 30 days, like always. Those of you who've been in this game, consultants, lawyers out there know you got 30 days to get this stuff back. They've got 30 days for the office to issue the confirmation of permanent residence and, if applicable, permanent resident visa. Obviously, we know if you require a visa in your passport, then you're going to need a PR visa. If you don't, you won't. So it says here, if there's for any reason you're not able to meet this deadline, then you need to inform IRCC. Well, surprise, surprise, some people may not be anticipating it because they've been waiting for literally years to get this. But if you have a problem with it, then once again, you can inform them via email, the email that I've got redacted there, and maybe delay it further. Who in their right mind would ever consider delaying this process after they've waited so long? But that option is available to them. So then it talks about here updating your application if circumstances have changed. Maybe you did get married. Maybe you did have a dependent, in other words, a little baby, and you have not yet added them in. If you need help, us at Holthe Immigration Law can assist you with that. Book a consult, link below. Cruising down here, there's not a lot that's surprising on here. Determine if you need to submit your passport. Obviously, if you need that visa, you must do it. But I want to point out a couple other things. It says here, if you are currently residing right here, this top part that's highlighted, in Canada, and you intend to travel by air to another country prior to becoming a PR, you will be required to apply and obtain an ETA prior to boarding. Okay, that's great. Zipping down further, then the documents are the standard documents that we see quite frequently, the passport or the copy of the passport, see step 2, photos, and then the prepaid envelope, and then completing the annex. You can see here that it says if you do not have a mailing address in Canada or the US, or if you're unable to submit the required documentation, then you need to send an email to them so that they can instruct you otherwise. In other words, if you're in a different country, then in this case, Canada or the US. And why does it read that way for this principal applicant? Because they are in the US right now. Zipping down to the bottom, then you can see we also are seeing that this came from the Vancouver immigration. That's the visa office was Vancouver. So they're spreading the love around, and they're processing these things from all over the place. Okay. So, and you can see here, that's what you fill in, send it back. Now, the one that I wanted to really show you is this one right here. Let's flip over and take a look at the one from India. How do I know it's India? I just read the instructions and see where they want us to send it. And you can see at the bottom, immigration section, 78 Shantapath, Shanakayapuri, New Delhi. Wow, can I ever pronounce those words? Okay, there's tons that I have got highlighted here. Tons. And there's a reason for it, because there are some nuances in here that are just different. Okay, so let's take a look at this. Passports for dependents should only be submitted after you, the primary applicant. So this one, you can see at the top, was still identifying Vancouver Immigration as the primary office, but it's recognizing that this dependent is in India. So flipping back here, you can see as I scroll down, there's the primary office. Okay, so as you can see, this person is instructed specifically not to submit their stuff too fast. They have to wait until the principal applicant actually receives their confirmation of permanent resident status. In other words, they complete the landing process. So because the spouse is in India and the principal applicant is in the US, that's how they've structured this. It says, as the primary applicant, you will be contacted separately by your local IRCC office in regards to your landing appointment. Well, we've already read that letter. Okay, so separate set of instructions. Okay, obviously they're using VFS. And I can tell you we're all about ready to strangle VFS with this whole biomedical appointment, this biometric appointment, I guess I should say, this debacle where agents are scooping up all the appointments and then selling them. Bad, bad, bad. There'll be more news on that shortly. At least I've notified IRCC and I sure hope they do something about it. But yeah, not cool. Anyways, VFS, submit your passport, take the letter with you. And then I want to scroll down and I want to show you something that's really worth mentioning. You can see your changes in circumstance. If you go back to the principal applicant's letter and you scroll up to the list of things that you need to notify them about, if they've changed, you can see right here, marriage, common law. Yep. Death of a sponsor, you bet, or any family member, birth of a child. And if you've been convicted of a crime, fine and dandy. But what do we see here highlighted in yellow? A change in availability of funds for use in Canada. My goodness. So not only have you guys been hanging out to dry for almost 2 years, well, we're getting pretty close to it, October, aren't we? But many of you now have had to use your funds in order to settle. You've had to use your settlement funds in order to survive, is what I'm trying to say. And so now they're saying, hey, if there's a change in the availability of those funds, you need to contact us. Oh yeah, what are they going to do with that? You have an obligation to tell the truth. So if you have not yet got this, get your funds in order, because if you no longer have the funds you originally said you have, well, that can be an issue. All right. I wanted to point that out. And then you can see here, it says, and this is important, it says using VFS services is the only way to submit your passport. Well, that's fine unless somehow you have found your way to Canada. You've got a visitor visa, you came to Canada and you're there. You do have the ability to submit your passport in Canada through CPC Ottawa. If you have a mailing address in Canada, and if you and all accompanying dependents on your application are currently in Canada and plan to be in Canada for at least 3 months, that's 3 folks, you may submit your passport to the Case Processing Center in Ottawa. Now, I can tell you guys, I am not advocating that people try to find, to get to Canada so that they can then have a chance at getting their application processed any quicker because of this provision. I'm not advocating that at all. The reality is right now that this is being issued to someone who is in India and they have the ability to finalize their application. So because of that, I'm not advocating anyone applies to visit Canada with their whole crew. And if they do have a visa, come and try to land there. I am not advising that. All right. Okay, so let's keep zipping down here. And you can see this is one of the tricky parts. Your passports and photos must be received by the visa office in New Delhi within 30 days of the primary applicant's confirmation of permanent resident status. So you need to be alert. They don't want them beforehand. Why do they not want them beforehand? Well, I'm assuming that, like everything else with immigration right now, the whole thing is a mess. And portals are down, and officers are overrun, and applications are backlogged. And the communication is just not happening because the whole system is in lockdown. So it could be that you submit all your stuff to New Delhi, the principal applicant stuff hasn't yet been processed through Vancouver or wherever it's being processed, and they don't have an ability to match them up. The visa office in India is getting ticked off at Vancouver because they don't have their act together because India can't finalize until the principal applicant's finalized. So the best thing in the world is just to say, hold off until we know the principal applicant has landed, then you can come in. Remember, in this situation, we've got the principal applicant in the US and the dependents in India. Okay, so it's not the case of everybody being together, and that probably affects to some extent the instructions that we have right here. And so I wanted to bring that to your attention, And it says failure to comply with this request could result in the refusal of your application. My goodness. Can you imagine everything you guys have been put through? And let's say for whatever reason, this email gets sidetracked. You didn't get it. The principal applicant lands and you're still waiting for your instructions. And then they come in and you are unable to get things together and sent to VFS within 30 days of your principal applicant getting their permanent resident confirmation completed. Well, that would just be cruel and heartless. And I sure hope that immigration, and I'm telling you guys, immigration, I'm talking to you, you would better be kind to these people who've been sitting overseas, outland for so long without the ability to come. Life's put on hold. And even, I'll flip back up here, even this vicious little comment right here, a change in availability of funds, you would better be kind to them because they deserve it. All right. That, folks, is the breaking news. For today, I am your news anchor, immigration lawyer, ex-immigration officer, former high school teacher, Mark Holthe signing off. Good luck, everybody, and may the PPRs be with you. Take care.